When you think of Victorian wine regions, places like the Yarra Valley and Mornington Peninsula spring to mind. But today, we're in one of Australia's oldest wine regions, the beautiful Pyrenees. We're at Mount Avoca, the most awarded organic winery in Australia. And this place is so much more than just a winery. My name's Holly and welcome to the Cellar Door, Australia. A few hours northwest of Melbourne, the Pyrenees are a hidden gem amongst Victoria's food and wine regions, especially for lovers of Shiraz, Cabernet and Sauvignon Blanc. Off the beaten tourist trail, the understated and publicly shy wineries here can focus on producing the best wines possible. Nestled in bushland and hills and equipped with on-site eco-luxe accommodation, Mount Avoca is Australia's most highly awarded organic winery. Today, I'll be trying a few of their most popular wines, and I'll learn all about their ecologically sustainable, quality-driven ethos to growing grapes. But first, I'm sitting down with Matt, just a stone's throw away from the eco-luxe cottages, to learn why this region is so special. So Matt, thanks so much for having us today at Mount Avoca. I can't wait to learn about this beautiful place. And it's always been in your family. Your parents bought the land in the 1970s, am I right?
That's correct, yeah. 1970, Mum and Dad bought the land. Dad spoke to the head of the Department of Agriculture in Victoria at the time. Avoca is the best place. In fact, it's one of the best places in the world to grow grapes.
So Mount Avoca is firmly placed in the Pyrenees wine region. What sort of wines are we expecting in this region and how is the climate different, I guess?
Yeah. People think Pyrenees, they think, oh, isn't that in Spain or France?
100%, yes.
Actually, yeah, we don't speak Basque.
Well, yeah.
So the Victorian Pyrenees, we're kind of the very tail end of the Great Dividing Range. So what's interesting is we've got a bit of altitude. So most of the vineyards around here are in that sort of 300 to 400 metres of altitude. We're kind of dry, so not too much humidity, means very little disease pressure. So decades later, when we became organic, much easier because we'd hardly have to spray. You don't get a lot of mould and mildew. It's tough soil, so sunshine hours, all those factors together made it really interesting. And there was a few wineries that since that 1970 date, a lot of wineries have started up and people from around the world have chosen this area. And what we've seen is in the decades since, if you look at a map of Australia, you have sort of Coonawarra, then you have the border, then you have Great Western, Avoca, Pyrenees, Bendigo through to Heathcote. And that band is kind of on the same latitude.
Yeah, and there's some beautiful wine coming out of all of those areas.
Country, absolutely. People think sustainable, they think environmental. But you also have to be economically sustainable.
What does that mean in terms of a winery?
Well, if you buy fertiliser, that's a cost.
Yeah.
If you make your own compost with your own grape skins, your own wood chips, it's a saving. And we were lucky because the whole organic thing, we were chasing quality. We wanted to get the grapes as good as we could. Then we're like, oh, we're actually like 98% there. What do we need to do?
Yeah, to do the bridge the gap for the extra 2%.
Yeah.
This accidentally organic outcome is testament to an approach that prioritises growing the best quality fruit with the fewest amounts of input.
Amazing Shiraz. So we started with strong Cabernet, and then the last 10, 20 years, the region is renowned for some of the best Shiraz in the country.
Why has that changed?
Fashion.
Fashion, okay.
Yeah, so most of the vineyards here started in the 70s. Then there was like a second wave in the 90s. So there's a whole lot of wineries which began then. And it can take decades to kind of understand what varieties work and how they work best. And do we do cane pruning? Do we do spur pruning? All those sorts of things. So I think a combination of time and fashion.
Right.
And Shiraz just does incredibly well.
Yeah.
And we do a really lovely Victorian style. We've got plenty of elegance, lots of depth, lots of colour. I think we've got perhaps a bit more finesse than a lot of regions.
Oh, I'm looking forward to trying them. Yeah.
Some really good elegant styles.
All right, so we've got the reds. Are there any whites that the region is known for?
We love our Sauvignon Blancs. That's one of the wines that I think we do particularly well.
With all that talk of wine, I reckon we should head on over to the Cellar Door and try some.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, let's go.
This is our Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay.
So it's a variety that was a little bit new to the region back in the 80s.
Okay.
My dad was one of the first people in Australia, I think, to plant Sauvignon Blanc.
Really? And that was in the 80s?
1982.
1982.
And that was our first ever trophy. Was for Sauvignon Blanc that my dad made the Sauvignon Blanc.
I'm even more excited to taste it now. So those vines that he planted in 82, are they in this bottle still?
In fact, we have a couple of different Sauvignon Blancs.
Okay.
And the vines he planted, which we call rows 1 to 27,
okay,
that's our best clone.
Oh.
And there's different clones.
Okay.
There's very subtle differences in the Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay.
And this one is more tropical, sort of pineapple, cantaloupe, kind of nice melon characters. This is the 23 Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay.
And a little bit riper to steer clear of those really kind of overt green, grassy characters, overlaid with more tropical.
Okay.
And the big thing for us is to avoid that really harsh acid.
The really acidic flavour that I think a lot of people sort of say is synonymous with a lot of Sauvignon Blanc sort of flavours. Yeah.
And for us, because we're inland, we get really cold nights and really warm, sunny days.
Yeah.
Perfect for Shiraz, Cabernet, Sauvignon Blanc.
I'm so excited to taste it. Let's give it a go. It's such a lovely colour as well. It's really clear and crisp looking. So cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
It's good, isn't it?
That is really nice. And I can really taste what you mean about that. It's really got that lack of that acid bite, I think, that a lot of Sauvignon Blancs that I've had in the past. So, oh, that's really fresh.
It's got a bit of, almost a bit of that sort of lemon sherbet.
I was going to say, I can taste citrus sort of notes in there. To me, it tastes like a holiday.
Exactly.
Like a tropical sort of holiday. Yeah.
Well, this is what you do when you're on your yacht.
Yeah, which I have a yacht, obviously.
With your oysters. Sauv Blanc's perfect with prawns, good with Asian food.
Okay, so a good little seafood pairing would be quite a nice one.
Almost all seafood.
Okay.
Like I love Thai, Vietnamese. It will actually carry, because it's not too acidic, it'll actually carry a little bit of that chili and spice you get with Asian.
It's got a little bit of viscosity in there as well, which I love to see.
My winemaker David Lake's talking about, it's got good legs.
It's got good legs, look at that. Yeah, I love to see it on the side of the glass because you can tell it's really got that full flavour that you want. Even though it's a lighter wine, the flavour it's a full flavour in the glass.
Yep, wine is like the sixth food group.
Oh, I love that, yes.
It's something that you do because, we're all responsible and wine is part of a balanced lifestyle. So to me, this is a little bit like a lemon meringue pie. It's got the nice sweetness, it's got the flavours, a bit of texture, which is like the pastry. And then you've got that nice little whoosh
at the end, just to finish that up.
Yeah. So it makes it makes it fun.
Really lovely,
It's got to be fun.
Yes.
It's got to be a fun thing.
Thanks so much. Cheers.
I'm in Mount Avoca in the Pyrenees wine region of Victoria. And before we get stuck into some more tastings, I'm getting a first-hand look at the organic process in action. First, I'm off to meet Matt's son Hugo to see how the compost is made.
Okay, Hugo, talk us through what am I going to do with this stick?
Righto, so we're going to chip these and then that goes into the mulch pile and then we're just going to spread that around wherever we need to. So yeah.
Let's do it. I can't wait.
Get into it.
There we go.
Okay, my turn. A As fun as this is not how I envisaged my day at the winery. So I'm calling a wrap on that. Hugo, I reckon you've got the rest covered. As the mulch pile grows, I'm going over to the winery to see what happens next.
All right, so to make effective compost, we've got the wood chippings sorted. Now what?
Now, well, the trick with grape skins by themselves,
Yeah.
they're too wet,
Okay.
too much nitrogen. So if you think of your lawn clippings at home, big pile of lawn, if you leave it long enough, it'll smell like ammonia, not really going to compost. So we need more oxygen and we need more carbon. So carbon we have a cardboard chipper.
Okay.
So cardboard, cellulose, wood, lots of carbon. And we need more oxygen, so we need bigger chunks. So if we mix this with wood chips,
Yeah.
so this is lovely, beautiful Shiraz, look at that. But so we'll actually press this, we'll get this
wow.
juice out.
Yeah.
So we'll be a bit drier, mix that with the wood chips, we get our carbon and nitrogen ratio right, about 15:1.
Okay.
The wood chips makes it more open, so the air can get in, and you end up with this lovely, sweet, toffee smelling garden. You know, that really lovely compost. Yeah, but it
Yeah.
smells sweet.
Okay.
That's what we have.
So all those nutrients in the grape skins don't go to waste. They go back to where it starts.
Back onto the vineyard.
Oh,
Complete
wow.
the circle.
Complete the circle.
And we're adding a bit more, good stuff for the worms. Worms love it. We kind of feed Mother Nature, and if we do it right, then it's kind of just
Full
a nice,
circle.
full circle, exactly.
Beautiful. Well, let's go and check it out on the vine, shall we?
Sounds good.
Matt, these vines are looking delightfully healthy, if you ask me. Tell me about how the composters help make that happen.
Well, these Sauvignon Blanc have had compost put on last winter,
Okay.
and it gets put on here. You can see it's a bit of a mound because the compost
yes,
builds
all
up over
here.
time. The grass grows through. And
Yeah.
you can see here, this is the compost which has kind of slid off the mound.
yes,
You
okay.
see a bit of the wood chips, and these black dots are there's a few grape seeds. This is the old grape
I
seeds.
see them in there, yes.
Yeah, that's what happens. It comes in, and we have found since we apply the compost, we actually get a slightly better yield, but we also get better quality.
Okay.
So one of the problems for vineyards is you want to get more grapes
Yep.
because you can make more wine. But if you put a lot of water on, you end up diluting it. You get lots of grapes, but you don't get much quality. So the trick is to, again, I think of a grapevine like a person.
Yep.
You want to have someone, yourself, you want to be with people who are healthy. You don't want to be fat and lazy, and you don't want to be like skinny and lacking, malnourished.
Right.
You got to have nutrition.
Gotta
and you got to be
find balance.
fit. Yeah. So this is kind of like the fit grapevine. You want to
Okay.
feed it in a good, healthy way, where it's still working hard. It's getting the quality. It's got plenty of leaves. These have been harvested, and so even though the harvest has gone through, there's still these leaves are thick. The leaves are thick
Yeah,
and
they're
plush.
looking really,
You
really
can see
plump.
there's still a few little grapes that the harvester has left behind. But even though these have been smashed by the rods, they're still looking pretty good.
Yeah,
So
they look great.
we find that, we just, every year we do this, we keep improving the
Quality
fitness.
gets better and better and
Yeah.
better. And how many times, so these seeds that we're seeing remnants here, so their nutrients, I'd say, has gone back into the roots to feed these grapes, which will then make your wine. And then those grapes will be then turned into compost. So it's a never-ending circle.
Exactly. Yeah. So what we try and do, we can probably compost about 20% of the vineyard any 1 year.
Okay.
So over 5 years,
Yep.
hopefully, we've done the whole vineyard, and then we can get back and start again.
Okay, all right. So it's sort of 5 cycles.
A bit like painting a Sydney Harbour Bridge. By the time you finish, it's time to start
again.
over again.
I
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Another integral part of the organic process is the insectarium. But I think I need to be reminded of the end product again. So let's get back to a tasting.
So let's try red, shall we?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you suggest we try next, Matt?
Well, obviously the region's renowned for Shiraz, Cabernet, Merlot, all the classic Australian varieties.
Yeah.
What we're going to try is a la grain.
A Lagraine, okay. It's a little, not what I was expecting.
No.
Okay, so talk us through, what is a Lagraine first?
La grain is not very widely planted in Australia. There's only a handful of producers. It comes from the northern part of Italy.
Okay.
So Romeo and Juliet
Yeah.
lived in Verona, which is I always think lovely because they're completely fictional. But so just north of their house it's up in that northern part of Italy, which borders Austria and Switzerland, up in the Alps.
Yeah.
And I tried this probably 20 years ago and thought, wow, really lovely flavours. Did some research, and because of the altitude, we're about 400 metres here in the Pyrenees.
Okay.
And it loves the region.
It here. It's
grows
made
well.
itself at home.
Yeah, and it's got just a different flavour profile, and it's just an exciting and nice to have something a little bit different.
I'm excited to try it. Let's do it. So this is a really old world wine by the sounds of it. And you've brought it, I guess, into the new world here in Australia. And how do you find the vines grow in this climate?
We're pretty lucky. What you want is the vines to work hard. If it's too easy, too much fruit, they're not struggling enough to get the character.
So it won't be really a complex flavour, will
Exactly. It's more simple. The sugars come too easy.
Yeah.
And then they don't have to work as hard. You don't get that intensity.
You want that sort of stress, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Work hard on it. So I kind of explain this a little bit. If you imagine a Cabernet and a Pinot Noir
Okay.
had a love child.
Ooh, okay. And here it is.
Here it
We're
is.
about to try it.
Lagrange.
Let's do it. It's a lovely dark colour. It's really rich.
Well, this is a 21, so a little bit of colour from the age in the bottle.
Beautiful. Oh, it's a really rich sort of forest fruity sort of flavour there.
So I think
that's beautiful and velvety and rich and
Exactly.
oh, that's stunning.
When it's young, it has probably almost a more herbal, sort of basil tomato leaf, but actually lots and lots of berries. You get these dark berries, and that's probably the Cabernet kind of influence. It's got those fruits of the forest, blackberry, blueberry, mulberry, that kind of earthy, dark berry character.
Okay, so I've got a beautiful bottle of this.
Yes.
What should I cook for dinner?
A whole range of kind of stews and meats and things like that. That you can imagine in northern Italy, they have sort of charcuterie and sausages and meats, smoked meats, all those sorts of things, pies, stews. So if you've got something lightweight, like say a Sauvignon Blanc, it could be seafood.
Yeah.
I spoke about earlier.
Really good little.
And then heavier wine,
Yeah.
heavier dish.
Oh, that's a great
So
way
just
to
think of
about it.
just balance it. The weight and the weight, they've got to balance.
And how does the organic process help make this delicious wine?
Back in the old days, all through, I guess when we started, and even the technology was you had to add acid, you had to do these things, you had to adjust a lot of the juice when you're fermenting to get the wine to the right pH and get it all balanced. When we went organic 10 years ago, we kept working towards getting the vines healthier. And what we've found in the last 10 years is the more work we do in getting the vines really healthy, and we do a bit of sort of seaweed emulsion and all these things that people would do in their own garden, just to get it really healthy.
Well, that makes sense.
No fertilizers, it's all natural. The more we do on getting that vine balanced and healthy, we pick the grapes. The chemistry of the grapes is almost perfect.
Oh, so there you go. So it's all the pre-planning and all the stuff that goes before that you're almost guaranteeing.
Yeah.
So cool.
So now we pick the grapes, and most of the time the wine makes itself. So we're very much into less intervention, work really hard in the vineyard, and then you don't need to work so hard in the winery.
Well, this is absolutely incredible. I can tell all your hard work put into those vines has really translated, because this is just the most lovely drop.
Isn't it?
Lagrange, I love it. Cheers to Lagrange.
Something a bit different.
Whilst filming the Cellar Door in Western Victoria, our crew chose to stay at the Pyrenees Motel, nestled in Avoca, heart of the Victorian Pyrenees and wine region. Enjoy refurbished ground floor suites featuring modern spa shower en-suites, queen beds and flat screen TVs. Explore Avoca's charm from cafes to historic sites and delve into the region's wineries and natural wonders. Unwind amidst majestic ranges, spotting local wildlife by day and gazing at breathtaking vistas by night. Book your Pyrenees getaway now at pyreneesmotel.com.au.
I'm at Mount Avoca in the Victorian Pyrenees, where there's not just wine on offer. Relatively undiscovered on the tourist trail, it's the perfect place to get away from the crowds and take in some nature.
Well, it feels like we're a bit of a world away from the vineyards, but we've only driven a couple of minutes. Where are we?
This is a little block that is part of our estate. So this is going to be a 100-acre 40 hectare conservation zone, was mined back in the 1850s.
Because Avoca, I guess, was a huge gold mining centre in Victoria. Yeah.
So, 1850s, all these little Victorian towns, some of which are completely abandoned gold towns, had tens of thousands of people from all over the world. Chinese immigrants, people from Europe, all over. And it coincided, we were actually a few years before the Californian gold rush. And this land, when we got it, there were little mine shafts and mullock heaps. They chopped down the trees to shore up the mine shafts to use for fuel.
So this whole area used to be mining site. There was none of these beautiful trees that we can see now.
Exactly. And then we got this land, and for the last 20 years, we had no sheep in it, we had nothing, and now all this beautiful native regrowth has occurred. We think this was originally an old miner's cottage.
Okay.
And then over the years, after the miners left, there'd be different settlers coming through, people had sheep here. So it's just this area that, as part of our organic ethos, we want to have this 100-acre conservation zone.
Yep.
People can hike, they can mountain bike.
I'm all for nature, but when there's wine on offer, I get my priorities straight. But before we head back to the Cellar Door, Matt's keen to show me another integral part of the organic winemaking process, the insectarium.
A couple of things to think about. If you're a grasshopper or an insect or something in the Australian outback, flying around everywhere,
having a great time,
it's all burnt yellow grass.
Sure.
Then you look, vineyard, bright green.
This is a great place for a house.
Instant food source. So if you have a vineyard in the Australian ecosystem, basically it will attract a whole lot of insects, locusts, caterpillars, moths, everything, because beautiful green leaves.
Yeah, delicious.
And also nice to eat. Because Australian native flora is pretty tough. Eucalypts and things like that, hard to digest.
Yeah.
European plants, soft and juicy.
Delicious.
So a lot of insects will come here and eat your leaves. What happens, of course, summer, great, lovely green. Winter, they lose their leaves. And so all the other insects, the things we love predators. We love like praying mantis and ladybirds and shield bugs and all these sort of other things.
Why do you love them? What's it about predators that are so good?
Those insects will eat the insects that eat the leaves. So what we want to encourage the good insects in winter, no more leaves. So where all the lovely insects we had all through spring,
all the predators
summer,
that you really want to keep here for the summer.
Where do they go? All the leaves fall off.
They go right
They got nowhere to live.
Yeah.
So we want to have other plants around the vineyard so that all those insects don't have to disappear. They can overwinter. They can hang out in a nice little area with
Giving them an absolute haven.
Yeah, all this stuff. And then in spring, the shoots come out and they can migrate back, and we keep that population.
And they take care of your vines for you.
Yeah. So we have natives.
Yeah.
Because they survive drought, and we're really working hard on bringing back a lot of indigenous plants. The native flora also encourages the native fauna. So we have, more lizards and more, you get other, birds, native birds and echidnas and also other things. Once things start to grow, it stops the water running off. You end up with more water trapped in the longer grass and the roots and things like that. The water gets trapped, seeds get trapped, plants can then grow, and you get other plants growing underneath, and they get shaded from the sun so they can actually start to grow. And with a little ecosystem, and the longer and longer it goes, the healthier it gets.
And also you can keep the vines pesticide free.
Pesticide free.
Yes.
So what we look at this like someone's grandparents, someone's nonna's back garden, looking after it. It's all treated like you would treat your back garden at home. There's no toxic residues in the wine. People keep saying, we drink your wine and we feel great the next day.
Because it's so much cleaner.
So much cleaner, exactly right.
On that note, I reckon we should go and have a glass.
Sounds good to me.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
What a segue. Anything to have another tasting, and I'm keen to see what Matt has in store for our final wine. Something tells me it's going to be special.
We do quite a few Shirazes. We have two main estate Shiraz, which the estate Shiraz and the old vine. And the old vine's kind of a reserve style, and this is a step up again. This is our reserve of the reserve.
The reserve. Okay.
So
very lucky.
2017. Obviously, gold medals. And well, in fact, the reason we became organic wasn't because we wanted to have a little certification.
Certified, yeah.
It was about chasing quality. So the whole story was let's try and get the wines better, get the vineyard really healthy, get amazing grapes. If you've got fantastic flavours.
You'll have fantastic wine.
Exactly. And yeah, so this basically.
This is it, the reserve of the reserve.
So what we do is we pick this from certain rows in the vineyard. We know which.
And does that change every season, or that's always the same for this particular?
It varies a little bit, but we know which are the best rows.
Which ones are the big hitters? Yes.
Yeah, so David will pick these. We'll ferment these separately in small batch. We'll open fermenters, hand plunged.
Oh wow.
And then we'll put these in oak barrels. And then we'll go through and select, we keep culling down till we get 3 or 4 barrels. And this will be the best barrels because every barrel is different.
Yes.
They're all just slightly different.
Yeah.
And so we do
different
that.
flavour sort of characteristics from the actual barrels themselves, totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I feel very lucky to be able to try this one.
So you just see like the colours, just like inky black. It's just really, really dark.
Really dark.
A lot of intensity.
Very much.
And I just love this.
It just
so
even
much.
smells so decadent.
Yeah, doesn't it? It's got that opulence, but it's got this sweet berry. It's lush, and it's when you think of an amazing meal, people and chefs, they want to have a lot of flavours, but the meal shouldn't be heavy. And so it's really interesting talking about wine. People talk about a big wine, but for us, we want lots of flavours, lots of complexity, but you want all those flavours without the wine being heavy. How do you get it rich and light? That's
the hard part. If you were to pair it with something, what would it be?
I like to have amazing wines and just say, it doesn't matter, even if it's $90 a bottle, have it with some snags on the barbecue. Have it with your pizza.
Love that you said
have
that.
Just have it with whatever. You want bangers and mash? If you want your pizza, it's a wine that will cover everything from your
Snag.
5-star.
Yep.
Right through to sitting around now, a couple of pizzas by
a barbie or something.
Exactly.
Well, this has just absolutely been a delight, and I can't wait to take another sip. So
Absolutely.
Cheers.
The Pyrenees region is the undiscovered gem of Victoria's food and wine offerings, especially for those seeking an escape into nature. Fortunately, Mount Avoca Estate has the perfect weekend getaway covered, with 3 fully self-contained lodges on site at the winery. Overlooking the mountains and olive groves, and with all the wine you could ask for right on your doorstep, I think the Ecolux lodges may just be the ticket to a perfect end to a great day.
I've had such a great day at Mount Avoca, and I've learnt so much about organic wine practices. Now, if you don't mind me, I'm going to enjoy a glass of this beautiful sparkling Shiraz, some of this cheese, and the view from my Ecolux lodge behind me. My name's Holly, and I'll see you next time on the Cellar Door Australia. Cheers.